We are going to be starting the live launch. I'm going to be checking to make sure everything is set up correctly, and then I'll get started in just a little bit. Perfect. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Jesse Gilmore. You guys may have seen me before or maybe not. But today I am super excited because we are actually going to be going through a live launch of our accelerator program. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing over the last 2 years, working with marketing agency owners a one-on-one basis using a training program that we're now offering for you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through a couple different slides, kind of understanding exactly what we do, how it works, some of the client results. And then for day 1 out of day 5, the 5 days, we are going to actually be going through and diving into time management. And then you guys are going to be able to watch some videos and client testimonials of what exactly we do. So here we go. So welcome to launch week, and here we go. So within Leverage for Growth Accelerator program, you're going to learn how to turn your marketing agency into a 6-figure agency, when a 6-figure per month in agency, even if that number seems totally crazy to you right now. How to transition from hustling 12+ hour days to becoming a CEO of your agency even before you're hiring your first employee. How to increase your prices so that you're charging a bare minimum of $3,000, more like $5,000 to $20,000 for your services. And really getting out of that personal done for you work where it's your one-on-one time with the client that increases your hours every time that you take on a new client and move into the role of the CEO. And this is actually one of the biggest things that we're going to focus on today, because being able to regain control of your time is the number one thing that separates businesses and agencies from going from the 6-figure to the 7-figure. It's all based around kind of like that CEO time control. And how you can take on 2 to 5 times as many clients as you have right now without breaking your service delivery or adding a stack of complexity or overhead delivery that makes your head spin. And really, the Leverage for Growth Accelerator program basically allows you to get out of kind of like throwing spaghetti at a wall to see what sticks and really getting into those predictable, repeatable systems. Now, there are some house rules. So there are a lot of people out there, and in the agency world, there's a lot of people that say that they can do things, but don't have really the proof. This is not one of those. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm not going to teach you how to do like SEO better for your agency, or really even tell you a lot about marketing strategies and things that maybe you don't already know. It's really geared towards an understanding that there is a part of you that got you into the agency world, got you into owning a business, and really making it to where that part of you that had the vision that maybe got stuck in the complexity of either clients, kind of owning your time, or they have an issue, they have you drop everything in order for you to, help them. That kind of work makes it so that you're so stuck in not having the vision of where the agency is going because you're kind of fighting fires. That's ultimately, we start creating systems that allow you to really free up your time, and it's not a get rich quick scheme. Is definitely not do nothing and click a button and make money, even though we have discounts on the course, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. You can go at any time throughout this presentation. You can go to nicheandcontrol.com/accelerator, and I'll show you that page right now, so that way you guys can see this. So we are doing a launch week and also a pre-Black Friday sale. The course that I'm going to be talking about for the next 45 minutes or so is actually all based around what we've done with clients, getting some of them to go from a 12 to 14-hour day, 6 days a week, to being able to save him 2 years worth of having to learn it all on his own, and being able to book more work, have more time for his kids. or the same exact system that allowed Susan, when she gave me, when she talked to me the first time, she was like, Jesse, I'll give you 6 months. 6 months to turn around my agency. I'm going to shut it down. And in 18 months of working together, she got acquired after building scalable systems in her creative agency. You can look at any one of these client interviews at nicheandcontrol.com/accelerator. Or if you're more of like you don't have any problem when it comes to clients coming to you, but it's really hard to get everything out of your head into systems and working with a team. Warren felt that same way, where we grew his business over 400% in the first 6 months. So we have testimonials, a whole bunch of different information on the program, which I'll be going through in depth today. Again, we're going to have 5 days worth of this. It's really just a launch week. Day number 1 is really focused around time. And there is going to be a bonus that I give you in addition to this. So if you're sticking around for the live event, you can always use this code, which just gives you the $500 off. But I also have a bonus that if you do stay till the end, I will give you a bonus that is definitely worth your time. So stick with me if you're down for it, and we will continue. So here we go. So that's the accelerator course. That's the thing that we're going to be talking about throughout today. But the key is that you must be a true expert. So you got to be able to deliver client results. If you're not able to do that, I'm not really the person for you. Again, I'm not the person that actually owns an agency, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I'm the person that really is an expert in systems and scalability, which is ultimately what you're going to be learning about today. Now, if you're not at a point where you can deliver client results, nothing that I'm going to teach you or even the course is going to be for you. But if you can get good client results and you're just having a problem when it comes to being able to grow without, being able to delegate work and having the work being done at the same quality as you, that's what we really specialize in. Now, neither of my clients' results are typical. The people you're going to hear about are hardworking entrepreneurs who put in the effort and did the work. So the accelerator course results are going to be entirely up to you. So this is a live stream. I'm going to be checking back and forth between the pages just to make sure that if you have any questions, you can ask questions throughout the live launch using the questions box. I'll take pauses throughout this just to make sure that if you have questions, I'm able to answer them. And then if during this entire time, you're interested in possibly learning a little bit more about what we do, you can always check out our website at nicheandcontrol.com. You can book time with me as well, a discovery call for 15 minutes. No selling involved. It's just really just to get to know each other and see if I can help you get your goals. So who is this for? This is really geared towards those marketing agency owners looking to grow the business. You must have already completed a proof of concept. So already have 5+ paying clients for your service. From that proof of concept and why it's so important and why we can help people like that is because through experience, you're able to know what works and what doesn't. Everything in Leverage for Growth is leveraging the best parts of you and what's actually getting those client results to ultimate growth and expansion. Now, it helps a lot if you've already achieved a 6-figure business. So having at least 10,000 in monthly recurring revenue just allows us to leverage that. And then the solopreneur with contractors or team up to 15. So some of the clients that we work with on a one-on-one or team basis, or even on our mastermind, and they are really geared towards being able to have either contractors that are helping them out or teams of up to about 10 or 15. You could be a digital marketing agency or a creative firm or full service agency, and we're just tapping into public relations as well. And your desire is more to get out of that kind of professional service work where you take on a new client and increases your hours, and you're looking for a business system. So kind of like the business being its own organism, being able to grow and sustain without your direct involvement. That's what we specialize in. And then, of course, understand that you have to have skin in the game, meaning you got to be committed to actual growth. So let me ask you, some months, does it feel like, money pours in, but you just can't seem to maintain it? Or do you take on new clients and every new client increases the layer of complexity, making your head spin? Or do you feel as though every new client, you must reinvent the wheel in order for you to serve them? That was one of the thoughts that Susan had in her creative agency. When she was looking at systems, she was like, I don't know, that would take away from my creativity. And that wasn't necessarily the case. We were able to build scalable systems within her creative agency in order for her to get acquired. And then, do you secretly know that your work is worth more than what you're charging, but you're afraid of lifting prices will stop people from buying? Or do you feel as though you're spinning your wheels with your business and wish you knew you had a long-term growth plan that actually worked? So a lot of times there's these shiny objects that come in. You probably see them on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, where everybody's talking about a new tactic, a new shiny object, TikTok, or whatever the thing is. If you just had something that you could just rely upon for ultimate growth and expansion. And a lot of times, a lot of clients are dealing with working too hard in their business. So they're working a lot of hours, or they're trying something and they don't necessarily know a different way of doing it. So they just try harder. It's kind of like using a hammer with a screwdriver, and too many hours, too many activities, and burning yourself out. And do you feel as though you need, all you need is more leads, but you know that if you took on more leads and more clients, it actually would just lead you towards burnout, or there's something else that's actually holding you back from greatness. So a lot of times also clients are trying to delegate work to others, and they find out that it's not necessarily working, because when they start giving the work to other people, they do it at a level that's not necessarily up to your par. And so a lot of times people go, oh crap, well, I guess I got to redo it, and then just redo it as opposed to fixing it. That delegation of client fulfillment is one of the biggest kind of like hurdles that six-figure agencies have to go through in order for them to get out of this kind of hustling mode into more of a CEO role. And do you feel as though there's an invisible ceiling amount around the amount of money that you can make each month, which you just can't seem to crack? And if this is the case, a lot of times it's based around both scalability, but also feeding the pipeline and using all three legs of the client attraction system, which we'll talk about a lot about on Thursday, but also it's included in the Accelerator program, how to build them all out. Now, when my clients first came to me, these were the things that they were experiencing. So everything on that list prior, and they wanted me to help them fix them. However, these were actually just symptoms of a real problem, which is more difficult to diagnose. So I'm here to tell you what that problem actually is. It's being stuck in that kind of old model of being a hustler. So being a hustler is kind of when you dig in deep whenever there's a problem within the agency and you're trying to figure it all out. You just add more hours, you work harder, you work longer. That gets you up to about six figures, maybe even multiple six figures, but it won't get you to seven. And getting up to seven is where you're leveraging the best parts of you as a business owner and you as an agency, using this a new model of the CEO of your agency. So when you move into this new model, you end up having a lot more control over your agency. And I can talk a lot about client interviews and client experiences, like Scott, where he was able to double his profit margins in the first 3 months and then be able to take a month off of work without his clients even knowing it, so that he could deal with some personal matters and also go on a honeymoon with his wife. Super awesome. You have a lot more control over an agency when you can do that. And it's also based around who you work with. So a lot of times people get stuck, finding a niche. So a bunch of other courses out there will tell you, the most profitable niches are in HVAC and whatever it is. And where's the heart in that when it comes to, do you actually want to work with these people? And that's one of the things that we help a lot of our clients do, is just get really clear on those ideal clients and, who is that ideal client? How are you serving them? How can you serve them in a way that allows them to get what they want? And it's the least amount of effort and time on your end. That's what's called a scalable minimum viable solution, which is also built into the Accelerator program. And you'll be able to generate clients exponentially and predictably month over month with an exact idea of what you need to do in order to continue to break through growth plateaus. So what this means is that a lot of times, if you're having trouble with generating clients, even with recession, even with whatever else is going on in the news, it's because there's not necessarily an integration between your client attraction system. So either you're relying solely on ads, and then when a Google slap happens, all of a sudden your metrics are all off and you're like, crap. Or if you're relying on SEO and and then all of a sudden someone buys a whole bunch of backlinks and then you're not able to do that. I mean, it's because of these different scenarios. You have to build all three legs of the client attraction system. And that's the things that we include in the Accelerator program. And when you're in this new model, your business becomes simpler and significantly more profitable and less moving parts and overhead. And one of the things that we do is we really help based around the agreement and also the business model to make sure that it actually matches what you want and your lifestyle and your business. And then also what just makes sense. So a lot of times people get stuck in this whole hourly kind of trade for time, stuff like that. And that is not, first off, scalable. Second off, it doesn't actually incentivize you to do better work. It just means you work longer hours. So if you were able to get the same work done in half the time, you're actually losing money by doing so. Does that make sense? So that's a part of the reason why creating the right model in your own business will actually allow you to be more, to keep it simple and significantly more profitable. And then when you have this, these client attraction systems, these minimum viable solution, you're able to have a proven, repeatable system that allows you to grow exponentially. And while you do this, and because a lot of the other programs are so focused on external things like the HVAC niche, for an example, you're able to tap back into the joy that you had when you actually, first started the business, because it gets back to the essentials of why you actually started it, what your vision is, and then building systems around to support that vision, as opposed to, being at the beck of call of either a market or a different course that's like HVAC, or thinking about the recession or other things that can hold you back from greatness. So if you guys haven't seen me before, my name is Jesse Gilmore. I'm the most comprehensive business system expert for marketing agency owners. And I'll talk about why that actually is the case. I'm a serial entrepreneur with 4 businesses over the last 13 going on 14 years. And I am a certified professional project manager. And these are actually like I'm not just lying about it. This is a project management institution, and then also another one based around Agile. So kind of like the execution system of agencies. But I learned all of this in a $4 billion global corporation implementing business systems and processes. And what I'm starting to do over the last 3 years, what I've been doing is helping marketing agency owners to effectively scale through the implementation of business systems. So I didn't always start off like this. In my first business, and I'm actually going to talk a lot about this because a lot of times people don't actually know that there's an issue in their business. And I didn't know that when I first started my first business with my brother, Jeremy. So we started our first business back in, I think it was 2006. And it was called the North Coast Collective. And it was a web information services business, which basically meant that we took all the concert calendars of Twin Cities and we brought them into one and we promoted it. And over the 5 years of that business, we made it to where it was basically all based around our skills. If we didn't work didn't get done. We didn't really know what business systems were. And we got to a point where we were gaining traction, but it took us so long for a proof of concept. And that by the time that the business was becoming more popular and gaining traction and in the public eye, it was very successful. On the inside, it was dying. I didn't understand exactly how to make it to where the business could run without us. And because we had done it for so long, we were working 60, 80-hour weeks constantly on this idea that this business was going to be the next greatest thing ever. And it just led towards what's called a single point of failure. And single point of failure, if you get anything out of this whole entire presentation, even if you don't buy the course, if you just understand this one concept, which I'll describe in a second, it's like the most important thing, especially if you're wanting to transition from 6-figure to 7-figure, or you want more freedom, you want more time, you want whatever the desire was when you first started your agency. Single points of failure is the number one issue. So we were the single point of failure, meaning we were working in the business and we couldn't find our way out, which means if we didn't work didn't get done. And after 5 years of this hustling, we were just burnt out. So we ended up dissolving the business as it was becoming more successful. Now, I didn't understand exactly what was wrong, and so I started up more businesses. So, my second business was when I was 26, and I started a nonprofit when I was 27. And during this time, I didn't understand what the issue was, but it made it to where everything was linked to my hours, my effort, and I couldn't figure out how to delegate. So I ended up sucking up my ego, taking a job as a professional project manager in a $4 billion global corporation. And I worked under the VP of HR and executed strategic initiatives over the 5 years. And the sole mission in corporate America was to remove all single points of failure in the business through implementing business systems. So why am I even talking about this? Why does this matter? And it's because I used business systems to create and develop and scale 15 to 25 person project teams, impacting over 1,200 employees at a $4 billion global corporation. And what I'm doing now is I'm taking those corporate systems, everything that I learned, and then applying everything that I learned from entrepreneurship, and I put it all together, and that's called Leverage for Growth Accelerator. That's what that program is. So why am I working with marketing agency owners? I've found that through working with them, they have the most difficult time in scaling their business because their business is usually based around their founder's skills. So just like my first 3 businesses. And I want to help those that were in a similar situation as I was in my first 3 businesses and truly make a difference in their lives. And based around the response from my clients, my methods works well and generates an almost immediate ROI. So each of the steps within Accelerator, which I'll talk about in a little bit, each of those is built upon this understanding of a learn and earn. How did I learn it? It's not just read from a book, even though I read a ton of books. But it's because I've been working with over 3 dozen marketing agency owners over the last 2.5, 3 years to create a business that can sustain and grow without their direct involvement through the implementation and development of business systems and processes. And really ultimately creating true freedom as an entrepreneur. So if you look at what freedom actually is the power and the right to act, speak, and think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. So when you're moving into this new model, what ends up happening is that you're building the freedom and the lifestyle that you actually desire. Not everybody wants like a laptop lifestyle where you can go to a beach and pull up a laptop and work that way. Other people like to build it to sell it. Other people like to build it so that they can have more time for their kids. And Leverage for Growth basically serves all of those purposes because it's not a one-size-fits-all type of program. So Leverage for Growth is a proprietary method that's used to effectively scale marketing agencies to over 100,000 per month while creating freedom. So you don't actually have to work harder, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And then fundamental core concept of Leverage for Growth is self-actualization and business expansion are directly related. So as you become more of the person you're aspiring to be, who you set up the agency had the vision, as you're becoming more self-actualized, the business can expand as well. Now, the 6 transformations are all in the Accelerator program, and we'll end up talking only about one. This is going to be the topic of today, time management, but I'm going to take 2 seconds and take a look and see if there's any questions or anything here. Cool. All right, here we go. Right back to it. All right, so when we look at the Accelerator program, you're going to see that there are a bunch of different modules. So we start from an inside out perspective, and you're going to find that step number 1 is to regain control of your time by carving out 8 to 10 hours per week for you to work on the business. Now, this comes from an understanding of the modules starting from mindset. So understanding that in order for you to actually grow your business and do it in a way that's not just working harder, you need to be able to start from a place of power and understanding that if the results that you have currently are not necessarily the ones that you want, just kind of like always, there's always a gap between where you are and where you want to go. You have to be able to believe that you can actually become that person. And when you believe that and you understand who you are as a core leader, what makes you more fulfilled by the work, then you're able to come from a place of power and then look at your relationship to the business through the use of time. Now, time management, a lot of people think that in order for them to do effective time management, they just need to do more work in shorter amount of time. That's not necessarily the case. Time management comes from having more control over your time, which is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to pull this up, and you should be able to. Are you able to see? Let me see. Yep, you are. Okay, so step number 1 is to carve out 8 to 10 hours per week for you to work on the business. Now, in my first business, I had to learn this the hard way. There was no division between work and personal. I was working 60, 80 hours weeks for years. I burnt out and dissolved the businesses as they were becoming more successful because I couldn't figure out how to regain control of my time. I read over 50 plus business books, went on courses, did productivity, time management, entrepreneurship, business models. I couldn't really figure out what it was. And through trial and error of what works and what doesn't, testing it out on myself and then clients, I finally learned a method and a sequence that works for myself and my clients of how to carve out 8 to 10 hours per week for to work on the business. So in order for you to understand, the importance of it, it's really based around an understanding of this working in versus working on. Working on the business or in the business is really where you're that employee, like me and my first 3 businesses. Where I was this hustler, I owned a job. Perfectionism was my greatest obstacle. And an example of working in the business is where you have an issue with a contractor, and instead of you find that the quality of their work is not necessarily up to par, and you end up jumping in to fix mistakes before the client sees the work. It's a short-term fix, doesn't necessarily fix the long-term. Now, working on the business is really where you're a visionary. You're like that CEO, you own a business, and the delegation and control are your greatest competitive advantages. So actually getting rid of perfectionism ends up leveraging you and growing you. An example is improving the communication process checklist with contractors in order to consistently deliver premium quality right the first time. Now, you guys may have seen this before, the 80-20 principle. And the key is just to understand that not everything that ends up on your task list is equal of your time. And so the 80-20 principle, 80% of outcomes or outputs result from 20% of all causes or inputs of any given activity. So what that means is that you have to carve out those 8 to 10 hours per week that generate the biggest amount of output. And you can use this for growth planning, system building, strategic partnerships. And you need to prioritize and plan your growth consciously to choose those 20% of inputs that make all the difference. Now, here is where we can get into some assessment. So ask yourself, do you have control of your time, or do your clients' needs in the moment make you drop everything to serve them? Are you currently more of like a hustler or a CEO in your business? And do you have 8 to 10 hours per week carved out where you can work on the business? Now, you can ask yourself, and these are the 4 steps to carving out time, which is ultimately all built within the Accelerator program. Ask yourself, what am I doing that I could eliminate entirely? What could I do that I could automate? What am I doing that I could delegate? And then what am I doing that I could simplify or condense? So doing it in this order just makes it so that you don't have what's called rework, where you're just doing the same thing over and over again because it wasn't fully done. And because if you don't eliminate something, then you're just executing as just a waste of time. So this is a process that we go through in our workshops where we can get people to systematically go through what they're doing on a daily or weekly basis and be able to carve out those times. So it's not 8 to 10 hours added on to your work week. It's actually carved out. And then this is going to be the funnest part for me is really client results. And this is where one of our best case studies was Mike. And I asked him, what did you actually want to get out of the business when you started it? And he said, I wanted to be with my kids. I wanted to have my kids. And at the time that I was talking with him and I asked that question, he was working 12 to 14-hour days, 6 days a week. It's crazy. And so it really was taking him away from it. And we went through that same process that I was just describing 2 seconds ago. And he was able to carve out the time, cut his time down, spend more time with his kids. And he says that this whole program, this Leverage for Growth program that we have on sale today, saved him 2 years of having to learn it on his own. Massive. It's crazy. Now he spends time with his kids. He's quadrupled his business. It's awesome. It's an awesome transformation to see. And that's what we're looking for out of our clients. And that's part of the reason why we ended up creating this course. So if you guys are just joining, nichecontrol.com/accelerator has this launch pre-Black Friday sale. You can use the coupon Black Friday 2022. It expires by the end of Friday. And you can go in here and do it right here. Now, I'm going to offer you guys something that adds a bonus to it. So let me pull this up. So who is Accelerator for? It's for the solopreneurs with contractors to agency teams of less than 10, revenues of at least 10,000 per month. The program structure is an online training program. It has over 14 hours of training material that's all really meaty. So there's you can rewatch them numerous times. The topics are evergreen, so they're not based around some tactic or reliance upon Google and algorithms or anything like that. It's really geared towards those fundamentals that worked, years ago, work today, and will work years from now. And email support. So we're building in some virtual coaching inside of the program, which is pretty cool. And if you want to learn more, you can go to nichecontrol.com/accelerator. And I'm going to give you guys a code that's available just today, where you still get the $500 off of the Accelerator program. But if you type in launch week day 1, all one code, then I'm going to be able to give you a free 30-minute consultation on freeing up your time. The same consultation, the same coaching that was given to Mike in order for him to have such an amazing result. And the whole it's all geared towards when you're in that process in the Accelerator program, to be able to have somebody to talk to. And that's ultimately one of the biggest challenges that people face while they're going through growing their business. So launch week day 1 as the code. And again, if you're just joining, who is this for? This is for agency owners looking to grow their business, already have a proof of concept, generating at least 10,000 monthly recurring revenue. Might be a solopreneur with contractors or a team of up to 15. And you really desire more of that kind of CEO role rather than a hustler. It's not for people that are not looking to grow a business, employees or product-based business owners, those without a proof of concept. So if you're a startup, probably not the person for you, not until you at least have 5 paying clients. But those not willing to do the work needed to achieve their dreams. So if you were coming to this live launch and hoping for this key where you can just sit back and do nothing and get the results, that's not for you. And then those are not coachable, can't commit, and think that they can get to 100,000 per month in their agency without putting in the effort and persisting when the going gets tough. So if it sounds like it is for you and you want to scale your agency income to over 100,000 per month, this is basically where the code is. So nichecontrol.com/accelerator. And if you use the launch week day 1 code, you'll get $500 off, and then also the free 30-minute consultation. It does expire by the end of the day. So I'm going to open it up to any questions that anybody has, anybody that's on here. And let me pull up these. So if you have any questions, anything I can help you with, let me know. Otherwise, it looks like you guys are jumping on it. So nichecontrol.com/accelerator, and you can use the code launch week day 1. And what I'll do is also share this. So this is what the page looks like. You can click the buy now right here. And then launch week day 1. See, the $500 comes off. It also, using that code makes it so that you guys go into a different group that allows us to give you that free consultation too. And if you want to look at this page, we've put client testimonials all throughout this entire thing. What some of the problems that people face, we have a solution for. So being stuck working 60+ hour weeks, having it to where you feel as though delegation is not working for you. You have to do it all yourself. Having an offer that's neither scalable nor profitable, as it increases your personal hours with each new client. Another challenge that I've seen and that we solve is experiencing feast and famine revenue cycles by relying on referrals or paid ads to grow the business. And then inability to attract and retain top talent. And actually, this one was a big one right here because that is what was having an issue with when Susan was trying to scale her creative agency. She didn't really have like the mature processes. Everything was kind of based around her and her skills and things like that. And so as she took on more clients, it just increased her hours. It wasn't really scalable. So when we built scalable systems within her creative agency, she became attractive to a PR agency that actually acquired her. So this is really where we were able to attract not only like a top talent within her business, which ultimately she went through a big kind of, I was going to say culling, but maybe that's like a little bit too intense. But like during the time where she was building the scalable systems, we had to let go of some team members that weren't necessarily, high achieving and sticking with it. And she started attracting these top talent. And from there, she was able to really, really grow her agency and then get acquired, which is pretty cool. So everything's in here. Accelerator program. We have a bunch of different modules. You can see kind of how it works, kind of why everything is set up the way it is, because everything stacks. And then one of the biggest things that we help our clients with are people systems. Since if you've been with me since the beginning of this live launch, you learned a lot about how I was working in corporate and building scalable systems and hiring and developing and retaining and managing top talent. And now we're taking those systems and bringing them right into your agency to really shortcut time. And that's ultimately one of the biggest things that we do as well. Putting this into practice saved me 2 years of having to learn it on my own. My question to you is those 2 years of being able to save from trial and error, is that worth $2,000? That's now with the code, the question is would it be worth $14.97? So that's, if you want to look at all these are really long ones. You can look at each one. There is each one of these are actual videos of people that have used this program. Make sure to use launch weekday 1. So I'm going to take a look. All right, I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the Accelerator